Hi, and welcome to the Cottage Industry Fibers podcast. My name is Kim, and you can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Plurk as Continental Kim. I'm really glad to have you here. If this is your second time, since this is just the second episode, I appreciate you coming back. And if it's your first time watching, thanks for giving it a shot. Hopefully, this time I'll be a little bit less nervous. I think last time I had to edit out the first 5 or 6 seconds of recording because I was just staring blankly at the camera before ever starting to even say hello or start talking. So hopefully this will get easier as it goes, but I'm really having a good time putting things together and trying to look at it as knit night with my faraway friends. So with that in mind, let's get started. It's been a little bit longer than I had intended to go before recording the second podcast, but since the first one, I've gone to Stitches South in Atlanta, Georgia, and then we came home Sunday evening. I worked 4 days and then flew on Friday to Boston for my parents' 50th anniversary. Flew home on Sunday and went back straight to work on Monday. Now it's Tuesday night, and I think I've finally gotten one full night of sleep and can actually do this reliably without getting too sleep deprived and punchy. But because I've been really busy over this last time, I think what I'm going to do is just stick with more of a Stitches recap this time, and then for the next podcast, which probably won't be for another 2 weeks, I will go into more in depth about, talking about a fleece like I had planned on doing, and talking about some other things, some things that I've added to my stash, and some enabling and so forth. But there will be plenty of that, but I won't have a chance to do much between now and then because I'm actually going on a 10-day vacation starting on Friday. So lots of traveling, and I'm saving all the enabling and those type of things from the last few weeks for the next podcast. So where I'm going to start today is with just a few whips. These are things that I've worked on over the last 2 weeks that I took on the trip to Stitches South. And then I'm going to go right into a Stitches recap about, things that I saw and some cool tools that I got there. But you'll have to excuse me if I keep pulling my hair back. My wonderful husband put a fan in here for me. I think you probably can't see it, but he put a fan in here for me so that I wouldn't get too overheated with the lights, and it's just making my hair go in my face a little bit. I'll try to ignore it and just move on. So the first whip, real quickly, is in this beautiful bag that was made by Come to Silver for me. And she's not selling right now on Etsy. I think her shop is kind of on a vacation / hiatus, whatever you want to say, but hopefully someday we'll get her to make bags again because they really are beautiful bags. I mean, they've got this great handle that unsnaps so that you can, put your arm in there. You can wrap it around the arm of a chair and hang it next to you. This particular one's satin lined with little pockets inside and the little bit here for you to snap your yarn into so you can control it. It's really a great bag. But anyways, enough about the bag. This is the sock I was working on, and it's little needle protectors here, so let me get this off. I'm trying to sit further back this time so that the color is better and you can see my hands more, but let me know if better, worse, what you think. But anyways, as you can see on my second sock, I got through the foot and past the heel turn, and now I'm just working in the round working my way up the leg. So hopefully next time this will be a finished object, because I'm taking it on vacation with me and there should be plenty of time to work on it. The second work in progress is right here. And this is in my Slip Stitch Studios bag. I'm trying to remember what size bag this is. I think it's bigger than the 2 skein bag. I think it's called, a project bag. But I will have to look it up. I'm not sure. This one's great too. It's got the cute coordinating fabric and the little, again, the little, place to run your yarn through, and some pockets on the inside. This one is Edgar Allan Poe themed, so there's bats and ravens and all kinds of cool stuff on it. And in the bag we have, this is Woolmey's lace in it's a weird different skein of Am Carlton Polar, and what that is essentially she dyes a batch of a particular color, and then if she looks at it and it doesn't quite match what that color is supposed to look like, whether it's doesn't have enough of a particular color, or it doesn't match exactly the way it's supposed to, she's very particular about her colors. It goes as a weird different skein. The great part about those skeins is a lot of times you get interesting color shifts that you don't get in the regular colorways. And it's great for these kind of projects where it doesn't matter, that it doesn't have to be, exactly a particular color shift, if that makes sense. Anyways, it doesn't, not a big deal. So this is the very beginnings of Viajante shawl by Martina Bem. And I wish you could, this screen just doesn't want to show those colors. This is a really pretty aqua blue and a deeper blue, and then kind of a fuchsia is mixed in there, and a little bit of purple. But I think I caught the fuchsia at one point in one of the shots, but anyways, can you see that? I've gotten past the part. The way that this pattern works is it goes back and forth and increases like a regular triangular shawl until you reach a certain part, and then you join it in the round, so that you can now just knit around and around and around, and you increase slightly as you go so that it becomes this like giant triangular shawl that you can pull over because it's like a cowl, or you can wrap around you. It's a really intriguing design, and I think that this particular yarn is very well suited for it. I'm gonna pull out the ball here, and are the colors coming through on that? No, I'm really gonna have to fix this color issue. Anyways, this is a full skein of Woolmey's lace. I was able to wind it all using my Strouch Jumbo Ball Winder, and it's fabulous for a really giant skein yarn, giant skeins of yarn, and it does a really great job with that. So, anyways, so that is that project. Again, that's another one that is coming with me on the trip. Really easy potato chip knitting that I don't even really have to pay too terribly much attention to. So hopefully I'll get a lot of that done. But we'll see. And the last thing that I have going right now, for a person who last time talked about the fact that I have all these old whips that just have kind of gotten stashed away in some drawer, and I really need to get back to knitting them. This week, the only whips I have to show you are one sock that I showed you before, a shawl that I just cast on new, and a stole that I just cast on new. So I'm kind of failing at the whole stop making new projects and start getting rid of the old whips, but you know, you kind of got to go where your heart leads you. There's really not much else that you can do. It is what it is. Okay, so the stole that I cast on is the Williamson stole by the Heirloom Knitting Group on Ravelry. It's the one I was talking about a little bit last time, where I had the yarn for it, but I wasn't sure how I was gonna, wind the yarn and what needles I was going to use. Well, I'm not going to talk too terribly much about this project, because this project is actually turning into what is going to be a needle review. And the reason why is I started with one type of needle. I went to another type of needle because I wasn't happy with one, thing from the first one. Went to another type, had another issue with that one. Now switched to Signature Straights. But there's a reason why Signature Straights aren't going to work for the entirety of this project. And so I'm actually ordering about 3 other circular needles to give a try. And then on the next episode, I will do a review of how all of those worked specifically to heirloom lace. But for right now, I've got it on the size 1 Signature Straights. And I'm only about 16 rows into it, but you can kind of see some of that lace work starting to show up. But anyways, the kind of fun thing about these crazy challenging projects is that every single row is like a victory. Every time you finish a row and you have all the stitches on the needle, it's a bit of a victory, and you can put it down, and as long as you remember where you are in the pattern, you can pick it back up the next time and be just as happy and pleased as punch when you finish that next row. The way that I wound up winding the ball of yarn is I put it up on my Swift and put it up like I normally would, because I gave a little pull on the strand of fiber and felt like it could handle the amount of tension that it would take to wind it using the Strouch ball winder. But the problem is that with really super fine lace, what tends to happen while you're knitting is the inside, the inside of the yarn wants to collapse and make a big mess for the ball. So what I did is I took an old toilet paper tube and I cut through lengthwise so that it could, get smaller and wrap around the core, of the Strouch ball winder. I wrapped that around, and at the very top and the very bottom, I just put a little piece of tape to hold itself around the Strouch ball winder. And then I just started winding the ball around the toilet paper tube. Then what I did is, once it was all wound up, I slid it off of the ball winder. I took the tape off the top and the bottom. The reason I did that is because I actually twisted that cardboard on the inside to make it a little smaller. Because the other problem when you wind something really fine like that, or something that has a lot of yardage and it's got that tension from coming off of the Swift, is your ball becomes really tightly wound, and the fine yarn inside is like stretched as it goes around the ball, and what it really prefers to have some relaxation, to relax a little bit. So if you make that core a little smaller, then it allows the yarn somewhere to go. It can relax a little bit and kind of cave in a little, but not so much that you're going to have this big mess. On the other hand, you can't pull it from the center of the ball that way. I mean, you could, but then you're fighting going around the core. And so I decided that I wanted to wind it off of the outside of the ball. Now they make this really cool, yarn stand that's got ball bearings underneath, so that you can put a yarn ball onto the stand and then pull straight off of that ball, and the holder will spin so that you can wind from the outside of the ball, but you're not adding any twist, because if you pull straight up as that yarn comes undone, it adds twist or removes twist depending on the direction. But if you pull it from the side essentially and let it turn around this way, then you won't get that added twist. Well, I don't have one of those yarn holders, so I had to come up with a different solution. So what I did is I put the yarn onto my Lazy Kate, and see, here's the core essentially of the toilet paper holder, and then it just holds this on here, and then as I knit, I pull, and it spins and lets me take that yarn right off the outside of the ball. So that's about it for my works in progress. Now I'm gonna talk really quickly about that one project that I couldn't decide if I should, frog it, cut it off the needles, finish it. This is the alpaca aeolian. That is my long-term 2009 project. And what I've decided to do. So I'm going to cut it. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not a very good actor. That's okay. But anyways, no, I'm not going to cut it. I am going to put it on new needles. Kristen had suggested on the board just giving a new pair of needles a try, and I think that's worthwhile to at least give it a shot, because I really do have some good memories from the trip that we took to go and pick this up, and it's from a yarn shop that I loved, and it's gone now, and just the memories alone are worth giving it one more try. So I'll switch out the needles and see what happens. If it's still a bomb for me and I'm still not happy with it, then I'll just make the final decision to let go of that project. Again, it is what it is. Okay, let me put that away. Sorry, I'm trying not to go out of screen too much, but I'm trying to get things out of the way at the same time. Okay, I think that's it for whips and hibernating projects. For mini adventures today, I didn't take any videos of the shops that we went to, but I did that because I was afraid with the fact that we were going to 3 new shops on our way to Stitches, it would really be too much video of driving around in the Mini. So I didn't take any video, but I did snap some pictures of the shops that we went to. Unfortunately, I'm not great at the whole video editing, online tech stuff, and I'm learning, but with as busy as the last 2 weeks have been, I just haven't had the chance to learn what I wanted to about editing in the pictures while I'm talking. So what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about each shop, let you know where it was, and then put some pictures on the end from the shops. So just to move quickly through them, the first shop we went to as we were heading north out of Jacksonville up into Atlanta was Rabbit Moon Yarn. It is in Hahira, I hope that's how you pronounce it, Georgia, and it's just north of Valdosta, if I remember correctly. And that shop was, I wouldn't call it tiny because I've certainly seen smaller shops, but it was a smaller shop. However, that didn't detract from it at all. It was such an adorable shop. It had the most beautiful brick walls. It's an old building that was restored, and they restored as much as they possibly could from the original. It's got these beautiful brick walls, this amazing tile ceiling with, ornate, filigree, or I'm not sure what you call it, but, the ceiling was gorgeous. So the building itself, the inside of the shop was nostalgic already. And then you go in, and there's some great yarn selections to the side. Right in front of you is a Canadian production wheel um, that, I've never seen one in person before. I've only seen one in pictures when a friend got one. So that, gives me high hopes. There's a spinner somewhere in that shop. And then beyond the area that had the yarn on one side, and then you've kind of got the spinning, and you've got the counter over here. Behind that is the most welcoming sitting area. There's like I think there's more like 3 couches, and a little like table, and it just looked like the best place to go. And if I were closer, I would be in that shop all the time. Then, while we were in there, we were talking to the owner of the shop, and we were telling her how much we loved the sitting area. And she said, "Oh, it's going to look totally different in a week." She said that they were actually expanding the sitting area, but moving it a little bit, and then expanding for more yarn selection too, I believe. And I'm itching to go back to that shop because it was so welcoming and great yarn. They had, I believe they had some Lolo bars. They had some neat stitch markers. They had some good needle selection. Just all in all, it was a really great place to just hang out. And then you know how it is in the yarn shop. You go, you hang out, you tell yourself you're not going to buy anything, and by the time you leave, you've fallen in love with at least 2 or 3 different things. It's just the way that it works. But definitely, that is a shop that if you're in the area or you're even close enough to go travel to, do it. It's worth it. The next one that we went to is Creative Yarns in Macon, Georgia. And this shop, when you pull up, it looks real small from the front, but I've been here before. But Kristen and Karina are the ones who were traveling with me, and Kristen is K-Bell on Ravelry, and Karina's Picnic Knits. But anyway, so you look at the front, and the front of the building is just a couple glass windows in the front entrance, and it looks like it's going to be a small shop. But then you walk inside, and everyone remarked it's bigger on the inside. And I'm not kidding. It's amazing how big it is. When you pull up, you go inside, and you come to the first room, and there's a particular type of selection of yarn. And then you go to the room on the side, and that's all sock yarn. And then you go back further, and that's all, I want to say, the lace yarn. And then you go back further, and there's another room. And then you go back further, and there's, another area. And then it wraps around to the side, and there's more yarn. And then it goes back, and in the back, there's a little sitting area for, just sitting around and knitting. And there's all magazines back there, and all of this looks like it's been added on to this tiny little house in the back. And then I hadn't noticed this the first time, but once you walk into the area that's just for sitting around the table and knitting, you look to the other side, and there's a whole nother room where they've got tons of tables and seating for classes. I mean, this shop just goes and goes and goes. There's a great selection. They had Malintosh, Malrigo, Regia. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember. I say Regia because I was looking for a particular colorway of yarn that was on the hunt for, but just, some indie stuff, and then all the regulars that you would expect to find at any yarn shop. So again, this is another one. I can't express enough how much we enjoyed it, how great the selection was, and how big the shop wound up being. So I don't remember if I said if it was in Macon, Georgia, but it's another one. If you're in the area, go check it out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The last shop that we went to that day was Eat Sleep Knit in Atlanta. And as I think a lot of people are familiar with Eat Sleep Knit as an online store, but the walk-in shop is just in and of itself, it's a really expansive selection of yarn you just can't find most places. They had cephalopod yarn. They had, gosh, of course, I'm gonna have them all just drop right out of my memory. I should have written it down next time. The things you learn. They had, oh gosh, what's the one? Nama Nama. They had so much Madeline Tosh. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. And then we remarked on how much Madeline Tosh they had, and they said, oh, well, you should see the warehouse. It was crazy. They had a great selection of needles. They had, what was it? Well, shoot, you go along and you see these signs of all these dyers that, like I said, unless you're ordering directly from their shop, which a lot of them it's hard to get, like Nama Nama, it's hard to get in an update or because it's limited what's available. Well, they had it in the shop. And if you're interested in what dyers they have available, you can go online, eatsleepknit.com, and check it out. We happened to be there on their knit night, and we walked in. The staff was so welcoming. They were so friendly, and I mean, we were new there, never been there before, and we were welcomed in like, hey, come on in, sit with us. We're having knit night, hang out. There's snacks, there's drinks, there's, gosh, after traveling all day, let me tell you, there's the restroom, and we were happy to find it. They had a couch and a love seat and like 2 easy chairs, and these are just not things I necessarily expect to find in a big online retailer, but they had it, and it was just a real blast, and it was so nice to meet the people that worked there. So anyways, so that particular store was definitely another one to see. I know it sounds like my reviews are all the same, but these shops were each great, but they were great for different reasons. So Rabbit Moon Yarn was a nice little shop, very homey. Would love it to be my local yarn shop. Creative Yarns was, it had a great place to sit, but it was more sterile, if that makes sense. I mean, they had great samples and everything, but it wasn't as homey in the sitting area, I guess. But it just goes on and on and on. And then Eat Sleep Knit had a great combination of hard to find selection, lots to choose from, and welcoming, just like a local yarn shop. So those are the 3 we went to, and again, I'll put pictures on the end of those. Hopefully by the next episode, I'll be able to integrate in some video from the trip to the shop we're going to be traveling to on vacation. And we may even add a second shop. Someone told me about another one up in the Smoky Mountains area that we might check out. So hopefully I'll be able to add in the video, and then as I'm talking about the shops, it'll make more sense what I'm talking about. Right. Anyways, that's it for what we did on Friday as we were traveling up to Atlanta for Stitches. And then Saturday, we spent all day at the show. I didn't spend a ton of money. I didn't buy a ton of yarn, but I was able to find some tools that I was looking for, some very specific things. And I'm only going to talk about, a few of the things specifically that we saw. And then from there, I'll just kind of talk in general about Stitches and what I thought about it. But the few things I wanted to share specifically were the first tool I got was this great little thing. It's called a knitting abacus. And what you do is you wear it like a bracelet. And give me a second, and of course, let me see if I can get this. I'm not going to be able to do it on camera, of course. So you wear this like a bracelet. You can find them on knittingabacus.com. Oh, forget it. Anyways, you wear it like a bracelet, and see this. I have mine upside down. Okay, see this side here. Each bead is for one row. Okay, and then this side here would be the tens. Okay. So as you finish a row, you finish your first row, you slide this bead down. Your next one, you slide this down, and you slide them down as you go, each row. So see, this one slides down when I'm done with that row. Now I better put that back because I'm using this for my heirloom lace project. And I really need to know exactly what row I'm on at all times. So as you can see, right now I've got, one here, so that's 10 rows. Plus 6 more. So I have finished 16 rows on that particular pattern. The great thing about the way that this beading works is that you can drop this, you can do whatever you're gonna do, throw it in your knitting bag, and it's still gonna hold the count, except it was upside down. So it's still gonna hold the count for you. Love this. So happy I found it there. It's something I've heard about for a while, but I hadn't seen in person. So, great little tool that I picked up there. The other thing that I picked up there that I'd been looking for, Hiya was actually a vendor at the show. And so I got my little set of Hiya interchangeable needles. So here are all the tips. The cables go in the zipper in the back. You've got, you can put little accessories up in this nice little pocket here. And I particularly like 5-inch needles, and I wanted the small size needle set. So as you see, this goes down to a US 2, which as far as interchangeables go, that's pretty darn small. And the join on the cable, it rotates freely, so they don't come undone. I am a die-hard signature needle fan, but I'm liking this set of needles pretty well. And since I'm not a huge fan of the way Signature's doing their circulars now, this is a really, really great option for me. The other thing I was able to get while I was there was a few little accessories that go with it. Look at this. How cute is that? Those are the cable stoppers. So if you want to take a tip off and keep your project from coming off the cable, these adorable little pandas screw onto the cables. I think the set's worth it just for the pandas. It's so cute. The other cool thing is they have this set of cable joins available, really reasonably priced. The joins are like $4.50. And then I got some more cables. Extra cables are always good. Especially when you have a ton of whips going that you haven't touched in a long time. So, anyways, enough about that. The other the other tool that I got was from Carolina Homespun. Carolina Homespun, I'm thrilled to see them every year at the show because they have the most amazing collection of spinning tools, knitting tools, spindles, beautiful spindles, support spindles, drop spindles. They have the small looms. They have actual wheels that you can try out. So if you were thinking about getting a spinning wheel and you want to go somewhere that's going to have a good assortment of wheels to pick from, that's a good place to go. They had fiber, and then they had supplies for other crafts like bobbin lace and tatting and what else? I'm trying to think. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. Weaving. Oh, of course, because I got a weaving tool. But what I got is this weaving shuttle. It's made by Bluster Bay Woodworks, and it's African Padau. I have no idea how to say that. Can you read it? Anyways, the cool thing about this particular weaving shuttle is the way that it works. Is you wind your yarn onto this little cone-ish shaped thing. It's called a pern, and you slide that pern onto the shaft here, okay, and then the yarn comes off of this pern and goes into these, or wraps, goes through the hole right here, or this eye right here, and then you can wrap it around as many of these hooks as you need to get the right amount of tension for your project, and then your yarn comes out of this little opening. And so as you're weaving and you're throwing the shuttle, what happens is that yarn is going to have the same amount of tension throughout. It really helps clean up the edges of your weaving. Well, in theory it does. I haven't tried it yet because I just got one. This was, I think it was right around $80. They had another one that had like an actual like mechanical piece in here that works similar to a tensioning device on a sewing machine, which is even more accurate as far as the tension is concerned, but it costs about twice as much. So I figured I'd try this out, see if I like it, and then see if I want to invest in something a little bit more, accurate. But I'm not weaving for competitions here. I'm not going crazy, so I'm thinking this beautiful, beautiful shuttle will work just fine for me. Again, with the weaving, something else I got there was this is a Lunatic Fringe yarn kit. And can you see all those colors? See? And then also gray through black. This is such a cool idea, and let me explain why. It's a little bit of each color on the cone. Let me just pull out one here. So this is just, let you know, the purple, and it's labeled well inside, you know what color it is. So this is the purple. There's not it's not a full cone, it's just enough that you need for this project. And what you do, I drew it out a little bit, is you do your, let me see if you can see, can you see that? You take a little bit of each color and you put it on your loom, like here's the orange, and then the red, and then the blue. And so as the warp on your loom, you put a little bit of each and every color. So you have these stripes of each color. So orange, red, blue, green, purple. Or in this case, for this kit, there's quite a few more colors, and it goes from white to black and the grays in between. Then, as you're weaving, you go in the same sequence. So you use for your weft, like here would be the orange, okay? And then next, I'm gonna do this real quick on here. Next would be a row of red as you're weaving with your weft. So here's, your next row would be the same amount that you have going this way, you would do this way in the red. And what that winds up doing for you when you're done weaving is now you can see, okay, here's the intersection of orange and orange, and that's what that color looks like, which you would expect to look just like the orange. But what happens at the intersection of orange and blue? What does that look like? What does, purple and red look like? You can see when you combine those colors, weft and warp, you can see how they look combined together. So it's almost like giving you a full rainbow and then some of colors for your weaving. And by adding the black through the white in that kit, you can also see how you can tone down or change the shade of the color itself just by changing the warp or the weft, to a gray or a white or black or whatever you're going to go with. So I'm excited to do that project, but I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a while before I get to it. As soon as I do, I will share it. Super quick, I'm going to go through a couple of the indie dyers that I saw there, because here's the thing about these shows. Indie dyers come and, let me go back a second. I buy the majority of my stash online. I like indie dyers. I just like the depth of their colors. I prefer that to like a commercially dyed yarn predominantly. That's just me. That's what I like. But I'm really reluctant to buy from an indie dyer that I've never experienced before, that I've never, seen somebody else's project or seen their yarn in person. So when they come to a show like this, I may not buy, a ton from them that day. But let me tell you, I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at their bases and I'm going to look at their fiber and I'm just going to get a feel. Do I like the way that their colors are dyed? Do I like the feel of the fiber? Is it felted or not felted? Do I like that base? One merino is not as nice as another merino sock yarn. So having the opportunity to actually go and look at their product is a huge benefit. So a couple that I saw while there were Highland Handmaids, and can you see? It's highlandhandmaids.com. What I love about her selection, she has some really cool, I love her colors, but she has some really cool fibers you don't find other places necessarily. Like this roving is Masham, which is a type of sheep's wool that I've never worked with before. So I'm really excited to try that out. So I grabbed the Masham, and then I also grabbed, oh my gosh, wait till you see this. Oh, I hope the colors show up right. This one is called Prime. Oh my gosh, can you see the orange and the purple and the blue and the yellow? It is crazy bright and I love it. It's funny, my colors are predominantly, I go to jewel tones, green, blue, purple, teal, and typically jewel tones, sometimes a hot pink. But then every now and then, I don't know what it is about this color combination, purple, orange, blue, bright, whatever this is, I can't resist it. I love it. I never wear it, but I love it. Anyways, so this color's Prime, and this base is Superwash Merino, and Silk, 40-40-20. It's a beautiful squishy base, and I've spun it before. It's going to be lovely to spin from another dyer, and hers looks great too. I also got some silk hankies from Alicia Goes Round. I don't see her card. I thought it was in with the hankies. I'll have to post it. I'll post it in the Ravelry board when I post the episode. But look at this. Silk hankies, the color just glows. So you've got the blue and the purple, a little bit of kind of red going on up here. And when these spin up, they spin up so beautifully. I did a little bit of a test spin using my Shacked drop spindle, and you probably can't see the glow that this has, but really these fibers, when you draft them out and spin them, they just get this beautiful sheen, and nothing else looks quite like fiber being spun from silk hankies. Let's see. Oh, I also got some fiber from Unwind Yarn Company. She was there, and it was really great to meet Dana and her husband, who had come there to help her. Very sweet couple. It was nice meeting Heather from Highland Handmaids too, and also Alicia from Alicia Goes Round. I don't want to leave anyone out, but it was fun meeting everybody. Um, See this one? It's got the pretty blue and kind of the splash of purple. I think this is going to spin up beautifully because those lighter spots are going to kind of even out the darker spots. And I think it's going to make a really pretty finished yarn. This fiber is BFL. So that was a great find. And all of these, I will definitely be buying again online because I had the opportunity to see what the product was, get a feel for it myself, and even though I wasn't able to blow the bank at the show, I definitely know I can trust them as an online vendor. The last one is my staple. Verdant Griffin was there, and I just can't resist Verdant Griffin ever. I just can't. I mean, look at these colors. Let's see. Oh, they're not showing up. This one is called Bird Dung Spider. And this one I've used before. It's Northern Purple Gold Beetle. And the reason that I got these is because I saw a pattern at the show called Fabergé by Laura Ayler. And the shawl really evokes a design similar to a Fabergé egg. It uses two colors, and the way that they work together was just absolutely gorgeous. And I think that these two beauties are going to make a wonderful Fabergé. So that's what I got from Griffin. Lots of love to Griffin. That's really all that I bought at the show. A couple other little tools, but I'm going crazy here. I don't want to go over an hour. I'm heading that direction, so I gotta cut this off. Had a great time at dinner with some of the vendors, and just really enjoyed Saturday at the show. Some of the vendors that were there that I didn't necessarily buy from, but would definitely buy from in the future. Erin Lane bags, Dragonfly fibers. They had Kiviot there, Buffalo fiber there, and yarn. They had roving of all different sorts there from different breeds. Miss Babs was there. They had vintage buttons and glass button makers and beads. And like I said, with Carolina Homespun, you had a lot of tools and other vendors as well. It's just like gravitate towards Carolina Homespun because they're just kind of like my kryptonite. I can't resist going in that booth. And the one vendor that was there that I did not buy anything from, and I will regret it, is Namaste Bags. They have the coolest new needle slash tool carrier. It's like a binder. Okay, think Trapper Keeper. You know the Trapper Keepers when we were younger, and they was like the binder, but it's, well, I guess they kind of Velcroed shut, but this one zips shut, and it's maybe, it's kind of rectangular like this, but you can pick which pages go into this binder. So it's in the regular Namaste material, and you can pick pages for circular needles, for interchangeable needles, for straight needles, DPNs. You can change a little, but you could put a little, not envelope. I guess it's like a pocket, the zip pocket that you can carry your little small accessories in, stitch holders, stitch markers, and those type of things. This one case would literally hold all of my needles. Maybe not the longer straights, but otherwise it would hold them all because you totally customize it to however you need it to be. It was amazing. They had a show special, and I didn't buy one. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I had lost my mind by that point or something. It must be the only solution to the problem. I can't imagine why else I didn't order one, because they were sold out at the time, and they said that they would honor the show special and ship for free, and I still didn't order one. Anyways, I'm not going to dwell. On to other things. I'll get one eventually. But anyways, as far as the show goes in general, it was a small show compared to some others, like Maryland Sheep and Wool and Rhinebeck and some of the bigger ones. And even, I think it's one of the smaller Stitches shows. In fact, this is Stitches South. Apparently, Stitches West is supposed to be much bigger, but honestly, if this is where you are, if this is your only opportunity to go to a show, or you're looking for a fun weekend, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a great opportunity to see tools, vendors that you might not see otherwise. And also, I ran into a friend I haven't seen in a long time that she lives like an hour south of me, and I ran into her 5 hours north up in Atlanta because we're at the show together. And also meeting up with friends that you know from like Ravelry or Plurk or online, that this is a place that you can come together, have dinner, or just have a meetup, and it's just a really, really great opportunity. And I really would encourage everyone to try to get to some sort of wool show at some time, but Stitches is a good option. Just a couple more things. I think I'm pretty much done. I do need to do the giveaway. I'm giving away my second copy of Fitted Knits by Stephanie Japel. I did the random.org random number generator. There was only 6 posts, so I ran from number 2 through number 7, and it picked number 4. So the winner is Aussie5111. So if you will send me a PM on Ravelry, I will get that out to you as quickly as possible. And congratulations on that. I hope you really like that book. I don't have a good giveaway this week, but hopefully I'll be able to pick something up unique in the shop that I'm going to up in the Smoky Mountains on my trip. So I'm hoping to find something that's kind of unique there that I could share with everyone. I think that'd be kind of cool, and that's my goal, is to be able to find stuff like that. One other announcement. Like I said, really bad with like the online tech stuff apparently. Having a hard time picking it up. Kristen, I know she's going to help me, but we just haven't had the time because of the travel. So this week there's not going to be real show notes. I think I'll probably put links to some of the vendors I mentioned in the actual Ravelry, post. But otherwise, there's not going to be show notes. However, if you have a question or you need clarification on something, or you just want to say, hey, I didn't hear that clear enough, just either post a message on that thread or shoot me a PM on Ravelry, and I'm happy to answer it. I feel bad that I haven't gotten the notes together, and I just haven't figured that whole, embedding the video on the blog and getting the whole show notes posted online. But once we have that figured out, that will happen. And in the meantime, don't hesitate to contact me. I may be a little bit, slow to respond over the next couple weeks because of travel, but, I am following the posts and checking my messages. So please definitely write, and just even to say hi if you want to. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you sticking with me, and can't wait to see what we put together for the next episode of Cottage Industry Fibers. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. and I'm feeling good.